I'm gonna tell you right now. This is from her father. Your bunch of lying no good punks, and I know who it's coming from because I've traced it, and you've been reported to cyber police because I've traced it. Consequences will never be the same because I've traced it, and you've been reported to cyber police because I've traced it. You'll be arrested. End of conversation. Well, guess what? My daughter's not lying, and I'm not gonna put up with any of you people's crap. If you ain't got something nice to say about my daughter, then keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. And any more of your comments and put it on there will be caught and will be bound. You will have to deal with the police, cause you done goofed. Cause you done goofed. Because I've traced it, and you've been reported to cyber police because I've traced it. Consequences will never be the same because I've traced it, and you've been reported to cyber police because I've traced it. You'll be arrested. End of conversation.
Oh, hey, what's up, y'all? What's going on? Blackjack, you want treats? Yeah, you want treats. Blackjack. Spoiled little kitty cat. I don't know where the rest of the cats are. There you go, you got your treat. Blackjack. Meow. What up, one viewer? Stone Cold ET. Happy holidays, everyone. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Ah. Hit that link, Stone Cold ET. I got that peanut butter fudge here. Blackjack in my sheet. I got some peanut butter fudge. I got some sugar cookies. Got some pumpkin pie. Hiding in the corner. Camp Bro out of family shit. Hiding in the corner. Oh, okay. Hell yeah, you're on your way to the dial. I can't see that. Diabetes? Oh, with the fudge and sugar cookies. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get diabetes. Type 2. I'm hoping I get some Christmas money. What did Stu get you for Christmas? I don't know. Where is Stu? Stu. Maybe if I say his name enough times, he'll appear. We are conjuring Stu. Stu, come to us now. Was it car insurance? Ha! Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Stu didn't even have any money for Christmas presents because he spent it all on car insurance. So Christmas is canceled. Scotty Two Balls. What up, Blue? How's the job been? If you're asking about me taking care of my pop, yeah, I've been doing what I can. I empty his pee bag. I'm supposed to clean his catheter. Um, there's not much for me to do for my pop as a job, but I try to always be here for him. I had to walk to the store for him earlier, get him some lottery tickets. Whatever happened to CPN and all those other guys? Well, CPN fucked his whole life up over hitting Chuck in the head with a hammer all over Roxy Red. Man, I've been watching since 2013, I think. I've mentioned this before. I always change my username. But I think you remember me saying that a lot. Oh, yeah? Frank Rizzo jerky. Yeah, I'm going to have some peanut butter fudge after I'm done these Hot Pockets. Just smoking a little weed. Frank Rizzo jerky. No drinking. I'm partying with this fudge. Now I'm eating these sugar cookies. I tore that fudge up though. I know that. There's still plenty left. Don't want to eat too many of these sugar cookies. Partying today. Yeah, this is the party. This is it. Oh, there's Moo Kitty sleeping in a chair. Where's Moo Kitty? I didn't even know she was hiding right there. Whoop whoop, Merry Christmas, Blue. Yeah, thank you, Dark Prince. You too. Right back at you, fam. Keeping it wicked. Mm. What's going on, y'all? No one's talking to me. Do I got Moo Kitty in here with me? No, she's out in the kitchen chair. Oh, excuse me. I need to blow my nose. Where's a tissue when you need one? Oh, I got a tissue right here.
And that case was eventually solved. Joyce's killer was.
We set out to do from the very beginning was to find stories that had a scary or creepy element to them, because let's face it, people do like to be scared.
You're about to have the rare and disturbing opportunity to go inside the mind of an arsonist. There was this one story we did called Unknown Arsonist, where a guy found a jacket on the side of the road. There's a videotape in the jacket, pulled out the videotape, played it. This is what I've been doing. He's been chasing me. I said, oh God. I said, oh God. The person who had set the fire was narrating the tape. Like he was watching the fire happen and narrating it at the same time. It's very creepy.
What I was watching.
The show, I think 1,000 tips came in, and the police ended up solving it, and it turned out to be 2 juveniles that had set like 25 other fires.
I think one of the most incredible paranormal stories we produced was about a nurse by the name of Teresita Bassa.
Initially, the apartment seemed unoccupied, but soon the firemen made a grim discovery.
Teresita was brutally murdered in her apartment in Chicago, and there were no suspects. Police were at a total dead end.
A Chicago couple claimed that the victim, Teresita Bassa, had named her own killer after she was murdered, speaking to them from beyond the grave.
A woman that Teresita used to work with started going into trances, and she would speak in the voice of Teresita. And she actually named Teresita's killer. And it turned out she was right. Alan Showery was his name, and he was arrested. And he was so freaked out by how police were able to track him down that he confessed to Teresita's murder in the courtroom. That is one story I will always remember.
When you talk about unsolved mysteries, one of the key tactics is the music. It's scared the heck out of people. We get letters from people who say, it's been 30 years and I'm still scared by the unsolved mysteries music. It is a key part of the show because it sets up the atmosphere of weirdness and scariness. We love to go to scary movies, and Unsolved Mysteries is able to tap into that feeling.
What's surprising to me is 35 years later, when people either hear Unsolved Mysteries, they go, oh my God, that theme song. Or if they hear the theme song, they go, oh my God, I remember that. You know, I remember climbing under the couch. That music scared me so much.
I think that combination of that music, our sax voice, were key elements on why the show was so popular.
When we first produced the Unsolved Mysteries specials, John and I were on location all the time. But once the series began, we were just too busy to go out on the road. So all the series producers and the series directors got to go out, and they got to have all the fun, and they came home with some great stories about production.
One of the best things of Unsolved Mysteries was that we shot on location in the places with the people that were involved in that mystery. And for some places, it was the first time they'd ever seen a TV film crew come into their town. And they would just, roll the red carpet out. We'd be on local news. I mean, it's kind of hysterical to think today with all the reality television. But those days, it was very unusual sometimes for places that we went to. And everybody could not have been more friendly, more helpful. And I think that helped a lot in solving a lot of the mysteries.
Law enforcement agencies in the smaller towns were incredibly helpful. They'd give us helicopter support, and they would give us vehicles and actual officers for our recreations. I mean, they would close off highways for us, but it was always a little bit risky. I remember one shoot, we probably had the entire police department helping us recreate a crime scene, and we were just about to start shooting, and they got called to a real crime scene. And the crew was left just standing there with nothing to film. But they eventually came back, and we eventually got our scenes.
I'm James Van, do you remember me? Mr. Stewart.
When you go to the small town, you can't get actors because you're far away sometimes from the major city. And you do want to work with the real people.
Excuse me. Where are you from? I'm from Brooklyn. That's what I thought you said. What section?
What we found, it got tricky because when it was an emotional story or it was like something with a murder or somebody died, and the family, it was like, it would almost bring the tears sometimes. It was really hard to watch.
We just completed all the tests on your little girl, and I'm afraid the results confirm, which is when you need to complete blood transfusion.
A lot of times we had to cast people that weren't necessarily actors, or certainly not good actors. So we had people who were overacting, people who were underacting, and people who were not acting at all. Sometimes people would even play themselves, and that was always a problem too, because they'd be so nervous, and it was really tough. The directors had a big challenge a lot of times working with the actors.
I know her a little bit,
Oh, good. Would you like to come down to the station and give a statement?
but if my mama can come with me.
We would go into a small town to do a story, and we would cast quote unquote actors, and they would all come from small theater groups.
Good to see you.
Who the hell is Fifi?
And so Unsolved was America's Little Theater.
There's no reason for you to say I like that. That was totally uncalled for. She loves that movie.
I love him too. That's why I want to spend more time with
You
him.
get enough time to spend with him, but he needs me.
The casting process was always a very interesting problem. What was most important was that the actors looked like the real people, so the audience wouldn't get confused. And their ability to act wasn't really as important.
One time we did a story about a fugitive who was on the lam, and we cast a guy who looked exactly like him. The show aired, and someone called in that the fugitive was eating at a restaurant. So they sent the police over and they arrested him, but it was the actor, not the fugitive. So after that, we decided to start giving the actors who played bad guys a card they could carry around with them to prove to law enforcement that if they were ever arrested, that they were just an actor and they were not a fugitive.
Christina Lancaster got McDonald's thinking about how I never had a snack wrap, and I'm devastated. Imagínate probar el snack wrap por primera vez. En ranch o spicy.
We did have one time though, that we had to cast a scene where these two guys robbed somebody. They were calling people in to, audition, and so we have them do a little quick improv. So these two guys come in and they do the improv, and they scared everybody in the room. They're like, did the perfect robbery. They like strong armed the person. They gave him a look, and we're all like, oh my God, how did So, what do you guys really do? We're really robbers. That's what we do.
When the actors didn't match the real people quite as well as we needed them to, we would use makeup and wigs to help create a better match. And some of those wigs and mustaches actually made matters worse, I think. Looking back on some of those recreations, they were just too funny. There's actually an Instagram account called Wigs of Unsolved that one of our fans put together, and it's dedicated to the ridiculous looking wigs of Unsolved Mysteries.
Another funny part about the actors is we would come into town and we would do local casting, and anytime we would ask an actor if they could do something like drive a stick shift car or ride a horse or swim or drive a boat, they would always say yes. So we did a story once that about a couple and they were horse riders, and so when we cast the lookalike actor, asked him if he rode a horse. Oh yeah, I grew up on horses. I've ridden horses all my life.
We hired these two, they got them up on a horse and they were riding along the side of the road. Supposed to be a nice romantic, ride together to establish their love relationship.
And the horse just takes off, just galloping away from the set.
Fast. And you could see he had no idea how to control this horse. He was hanging on for dear life. Luckily, was a good horsewoman and she was able to catch up to his horse and stop the horse before he fell off and really hurt himself.
Needless to say, there were no horse riding scenes with him after.
Have you got the note? What note?
The note from the parking garage. For the most part, the actors in our recreations were actors who were just starting out in their careers, but sometimes some of those actors would actually become really famous.
Daniel Day Kim was one actor who was cast on Unsolved. He played the relative of a murder victim. And Cheryl Hines, too. She played the mother of a child who was almost murdered by her nanny.
Can you tell me how this happened?
She apparently had some sort of seizure and fell and hit her head.
How far was it fall?
It wasn't far, she just fell on the floor. I don't know, I wasn't there when she was with the nanny.
Perhaps the most famous of those actors was Matthew McConaughey,
Right, honey, look.
who played a murder victim in one of our stories.
And we all still laugh because the episode was shot in Texas before Matthew even moved to LA, and it was in the summer and it was hot. So the director told Matthew he could take his shirt off for the scene where the character was mowing the lawn. Now Matthew McConaughey is very famous for his shirtless scenes.
And Matthew McConaughey had to do a fairly robust death scene. He was working in his garage, and he was shot by a man who pulled up with a shotgun.
Larry had been shot 4 times in the chest and once in the head with a .22 pistol.
Let's just say that his acting has come a long way since then. And in fact, he did an appearance on The Tonight Show, and he referred to the Unsolved Mysteries story at that segment as his first big break in Hollywood.
It was a big challenge making TV in those days. I remember when computers came out and you had its own suitcase lugging it around, and the first Motorola cell phones that were this brick that we were so excited that we could call from set. And we also shot on film, which requires so much more lighting. Sometimes on a night shoot, you would spend the first 6 hours lighting, and then you'd have the other half a day to do the shooting. And now you put up one light and ready to go.
I think the hardest part of producing Unsolved Mysteries was that essentially we were shooting a mini movie in 4 or 5 days with actors and costumes and vehicles.
There were a lot of challenges on the production, and sometimes you end up with huge set pieces because it'd be a big crime or some kind of event happening. And a lot of the directors, we came from the documentary world, where we were used to sitting back and just reporting and documenting what was going on. Suddenly, we've got actors, we've got props, we've got period pieces. I think it really spurred the creativity because John and Terry weren't telling us, they weren't saying, no, don't do this, don't do that, do things this way. they were saying, just go out there and guess a great story because we trust your judgment.
I think one of the most memorable stories that I directed was a story called Casey Blast. It was a story about 6 firefighters who died while fighting fire at a construction site. For 39 well. So as a director, I had to try to find a way to recreate this moment so the audience really feels what the firefighters were up against and the tragedy is what happened. So we tried to make it as real as we could. We exploded it, and we brought in some dummies and put them in firefighter suits. There's shots where you see what looks like firefighters getting blown away, literally, by the fire. And I felt like we really were able to capture that moment and how tragic this really was.
Bumper 41 or bumper 30, answer. Bumper 41 or bumper 30.
For some reason, this one really hit home for me. Because these were firefighters, they're just doing their job, trying to, their property, and they died in the process. So it was hard for us as a crew to sort of hear those kinds of stories.
Look at this. This is a weird track.
One of the most memorable stories from Unsolved was Bigfoot. We rented the Harry and the Hendersons Bigfoot costume. And we hired this 6'7" actor to wear the costume. He was a rather foreboding figure. One of the sightings in the Bigfoot story took place outside of a bar at 2 o'clock in the morning when the crowd came out. And so we're set up and we're filming and we're filming and we're filming, and the bar closes. And a half a dozen patrons come out of the bar. Clearly they've been imbibing most of the evening. And the Bigfoot goes by. A couple of people scream. And one of the guys actually jumped off the curb and chased the Bigfoot. And the entire crew lost it. Everybody broke up because it was just hysterical. It was one of the best moments in the 14 years I worked for the show.
On March 1st at exactly 7:27 p.m., tragedy struck the West End Baptist Church.
There was a story we did called The Lucky Choir. And it was a story about the church that had an explosion, a gas heater went.
All 10 to 12 people showed up late that day. So it blew up and there was nobody inside the church. We found a little abandoned church in the state where this had happened, and they were gonna let us blow it up.
And so we hired a special effects firm. And the director said, don't go too far, we don't want to rattle the windows in the neighborhood.
And he completely overdid the amount of dynamite and explosives inside the church.
Boom, boom. It was a huge explosion. It didn't rattle the windows, it broke windows for about 5 or 6 blocks all around.
And also, not only did it explode, but all these pieces of wood started flying and hitting the huts. And the producer almost got stabbed by a piece of wood coming through. So I guess it was kind of a second miracle that nobody was injured.
The story began, The Violent Storm, July 2nd, 1947. As a director, probably my best memory is the Roswell UFO story. We built a 2-scale replica of the flying saucer that someone claimed to have seen crash in a gully in New Mexico. We created alien beings based on eyewitness accounts. That's really the first time that I felt like I was making a movie.
One of the strangest stories that I ever directed was a story called Rainbow. This guy was possessed, and he had the capacity to make it rain inside. If you're gonna have it rain inside, you have to have what's called a wet set, which means that you build the set at a 30-degree angle so all the water runs off into a trough that is then recovered. We ended up putting sprinklers off camera in the ceiling, and we just basically turned them on and off to create the effect.
We had to waterproof the living room floor, walls, and furniture. And then after each take, quickly rush in and squeegee out the floors.
In between every take, it was like 35 or 40 minutes for the second take. The actor's hair was wet. The actor's wardrobe was wet.
We had industrial dryers to dry the soaked clothes, and our poor wardrobe supervisor really had her work cut out for her.
It was a nightmare.
It's your fault. You made it rain in the living room. You made it rain at that place. This is all your fault.
It's you, Johnny. You're the one that's doing it, and you have to make it stop.
The pots and pans all over the stove was like round. So I got levitated off the floor.
We used a hidden harness to levitate the actor and bungee rig to slingshot him across the room.
It wasn't like somebody taking your hand and pushing you. It was like feeling it all over your body.
One of the weirdest things about Rainbow was that on the morning we left, all the crew was on the same floor in the hotel. And there was 2 inches of water in everyone's room, including the hallway outside.
I called the hotel manager and said there wasn't a plumbing problem, and there was nothing to explain it.
So whether or not it was a supernatural force that was instigated by the Rainbow, who in fact we had interviewed during the show, I'll leave it to you.
And a lot of stories, we also employed special effects for things like car crashes and stunts. And those were very real because those were created by real Hollywood stuntmen.
Need a last minute gift idea? Get the WeatherTech gift card for laser measured floor liners, cargo liner, side window deflectors, or no frill wet flaps. Get your gift card instantly at WT.com.
Yeah, you're not really a doctor.
I'm Flowers.
Well, good thing DoorDash made a house call. Robitussin for cough relief, Advil for muscle and headaches.
Get well sooner with relief right to your door.
It's time for a change. We're in your price range. Driving in a winter wonderland.
Trading your old slate today. New Hyundai in Dover. High from the new Hyundai with 0 down, 0 APR for 60 months and 0 payments for 90 days.
Where we got a story where this guy lived in a small town and for some reason he jumped on an airplane to leave the town. What a story. I mean, like, we're like, okay, wait a minute now. We're going to show this guy getting on a wing and the plane taking off with the guy on the wing. And like, how are we going to do that? We had to have a stunt pilot who could fly the plane. We had to find a stunt guy who would be willing to get on the wing. We made special rigging so the person could hang on the plane and we couldn't see it on camera. I couldn't watch. I mean, I did watch, but I was like, I can't believe you're doing this. And we did pull it off. Nobody got hurt. And you know what? It was amazing they solved the case. Like, the whole mystery was who was this guy and why did he jump on the plane? And they were actually able to identify him and find out what happened.
As the seasons went on, we got more complex with stunts and with special effects, and we were able to do much bigger stories.
Lady Mistress, Merry Christmas Eve.
Woman who actually got run over by a boat.
Magic, magic, lady, mistress, magic, magic, lady, mistress.
We had jump, like, boats over each
Chaotic
other.
mistress of
And in the
mayhem.
middle of the ramp in the water, we had to
What
put the
is
camera
up?
in the boat. It took multiple nights of shooting. No one was hurt, and I would just always be so happy when it was over and we were done and we got what we needed.
We were working on a story about a murder that happened.
Chilling,
inside a trailer
huh?
that was burning. So I have.
Yeah,
literally
you ready
4 or
for
5
Christmas
people running
morning
around inside a
tomorrow?
burning trailer, and we're trying to figure out how to do this and make it look real. And what they did was they piped the inside of the trailer with like you turn on your gas stove, like gas lines that they could turn on and turn off. Literally, we go action, they turn it on, the fire would start. We'd run it for like 2 or 3 minutes because we couldn't burn the wall because then it would burn. We did burn down the trailer, but it was a really tricky stunt. One of the great things about Unsolved Mysteries for the audience and also for us as producers is that we traveled all over the world.
The most memorable international story that I directed was Mummy's Curse. We spent 2 nights in the Egyptian Museum. We were in the treasure room with all the treasures that Howard Carter had pulled out of the tomb. The life mask of Tutankhamun is likely the most iconic artifact ever created by the human race. It's really awesome.
In Turkey, we searched for Noah's Ark, and we did the miracle at Fatima in Portugal. We filmed a number of cases in Mexico, Nazca lines in Peru, and in the South Pacific, we did a story about Amelia Earhart.
Amelia Earhart. What's this stuff doing here? One of the most interesting episodes I produced was about Anastasia. This was in the early 90s, and Russia had just opened up.
That's what's up, lady mistress.
But I would like to see the pictures.
So the challenge of shooting in Russia was so complex. First of all, we only took a couple of Americans and hired everybody else locally. So that means everything had to
You
be
know what they
translated.
say, every decent woman needs a decent washer and dryer.
Is the body of Grand Duchess Anastasia hidden in a shallow grave near the spot where the rest of her family was found? Or did Anastasia somehow survive the assassination?
You moving up, you got a new bed, you got a washer and dryer.
Anastasia wasn't.
What's
There
next?
was a number of women who claimed to be Anastasia, and she was still alive.
You got a washing machine or a dishwasher
And they
machine?
literally laid out the entire family in this room so they could figure out who was who. And so we were ushered into this room. It was really astounding. It was just like watching history.
I think everyone
Custom
who works on
PC
the show,
next,
all of
yeah.
us probably have their own favorite unsolved
Stone
mysteries
Cold
cases.
ET, Spin Cycle.
One of the really creepy and puzzling stories we did was about a woman named Cindy James who had been terrorized by an
You gonna
unnamed
sit
female
on that
for 7
washing
years.
machine?
And
Don't
these attacks
cat
were
fat.
crazy at him. A knife put through her hand, and she was found unconscious numerous
Spin
times.
There was
Cycle.
no independent corroboration. Cindy saw this person, or sometimes she said there was 2, sometimes 3
Okay.
people.
And she was eventually found dead in the yard of an abandoned house. But then it turned out that there was a chance she had dissociative identity disorder, and one of her identities was actually the source of the attacks.
Why are you doing this to me?
Then the theory became that one of her personalities had ultimately killed her. So the question was, did she really have an unknown assailant?
I've got a young lad here who wakes me.
We did an episode about a psychic artist.
During the past 4 decades, Carl Poge has drawn more than 100,000 eerie portraits.
She would go to big groups of people and she would touch the person's hand, and then just with a pad and a pencil, she would sketch a portrait of someone that had gone beyond, but that was related somehow to the person.
And I honestly don't quite know how I do it. I just sense them. Also, there is an element of what we call automatic control, as if somebody takes over my hand and gives me a certain amount of help in getting the drawings accurate.
After we finished the episode, I asked if she could do a portrait for me. So she did one with an older lady. I didn't recognize it. she was a little frustrated, so she said, let me do another one. Did another one, older man.
I went part picker and put together a PC build. What did Bond say? I can't see it in the chat. Maybe it's on a different channel.
And the pictures that she showed me were so close to the sketches, they ended up using them in the episode, against a photograph of the real people.
Morning coffee at K and Mike Fletcher's, hardly ranked as an unsolved mystery until the peculiar events of February 11th,
There you go.
1986.
That's what he said.
It happened just after 9 a.m.
One of the creepiest stories that we ever did was about a phenomenon called spontaneous human combustion.
A perfectly normal person burst into flame without warning and without apparent cause.
One of the challenges in that story was the recreation, because we had to literally set somebody on fire. So how do you do that? Well, we used something called a fire suit, which a stunt person would put on, and the fire suit was coated with a flammable gel that you could actually set on fire. One of the things that happened is when we aired the story, we would get calls at our phone center from viewers.
Clean,
who were
clean,
scared
clean,
that that was
man,
gonna
you
happen to them.
capping. Who's cleaning?
After crushing Capone in Chicago, Elliot Ness became one of the most respected lawmen in the country.
One story we produced was about the real Elliot Ness. It was about the only case that he'd never solved, and Bob loved doing that story. That was one of his favorites.
Tonight's episode, The Waxy Gordon Story. Starring Robert Stack as Elliot Ness.
In the early 60s, Bob played the role of Elliot Ness in The Untouchables, and I think he really identified with Ness as a crime fighter.
It's like Waxy's got his eye on New Jersey now.
And he brought sort of the gravitas of Elliot Ness to his role as a host of Unsolved Mysteries.
He really loved this show. He loved being involved in it. He loved the mysteries. He always wanted to know what was the backstory. He was a big proponent of the show and a big champion of the show.
Clean, clean, clean.
Update. Within minutes of our broadcast, 2 viewers called our 800 number to report that they recognized Arthur Fleming.
It was pretty cool when cases started to be solved because people watching had a stake in the show.
Even the very first episode of the first season, the case was solved.
June 21st, 1986. Gail Delano drove alone to a restaurant in Brunswick, Maine, to meet a blind date.
The first story I directed was about a young woman named Gail Delano, and she had disappeared.
If anyone watching tonight had seen Gail Delano or knows anything about her mysterious disappearance, please contact the Maine State Police.
And the thought among police and her family was that she was answering personal ads, that she may have been abducted by one of the people that she connected with. The show aired, and someone who worked in the morgue in a small town in Alabama recognized Gail's photograph from Unsolved Mysteries and in fact solved the mystery. And that was the moment that I realized that this was a different kind of show.
The minute that we solved the mystery, it exploded. Even more people started to watch. It was unbelievable.
I'll send you a link, laugh out loud. You'll send me a link. Oh, it's a new hit single by Smoke Cheddar, The Ass Getter.
Design you feel in every detail. Technology as innovative as it is effortless. These are luxuries you don't have to wait for. This is Buick. Now, Buick. Exceptional by design.
Celebrate the holidays. Get 0.9% APR. Plus, current eligible non-GM owners get $22.50 purchase allowance on select Buick Enclave models.
Tonight we present an unusual update about lost love.
Nobody loves anything more than hearing Bob Stack say the word update, because then you know a mystery's been solved.
When we got it solved, we really went and scrambled. The next time we were on the air, we wanted to update the audience as quickly as we could. We sent crews out to do interviews and to get footage, and we may have had a show that was all ready to go, and suddenly we're rearranging everything because we need to free up 5 minutes of time. So we always had extra stories so we could swap stories in and out of shows as needed.
When the guy from Mysteries called me, said that Peggy'd seen me on television, seen me.
One of the things we had to do, of course, was to put on stacking. Sometimes we were filming on camera. It was never just like, oh, an update, great, it's on the air. There was a lot that went on behind the scenes to make that happen.
When the series first began, viewers were told to write to a P.O. box, and we got bags and bags full of viewer mail. Then we went to an 800 number where people would call a phone center, and we called that the telecenter.
For the past 7 years, the phone center has been an integral part of our operation.
This was a huge room, almost like a warehouse in Los Angeles, and it was filled with probably 50 operators, all sitting at desks, each with a phone in front of them. And when the show would air, it would start on the East Coast, and the calls would immediately start to come in with tips.
Well, the fun part was the law enforcement people were in the telecenters, and if a veritable tip came in, the operator showed up a red flag.
What up, 5 viewers?
We'd see like 6 or 7 red flags and scurrying around, and a case could be solved.
I need to take my night meds.
Capture the criminal suspect always brings us great satisfaction. Tonight, another fugitive is in custody, thanks to your call.
We did a fugitive case about a man who was wanted and on the run. And we got a call at our phone center from somebody who said that she was a housekeeper in a motel and she had observed somebody who looked exactly like our suspect.
It's the way he acted, it was weird. When he stood by the beds, in between the beds, by the luggage. He wouldn't ever sit down, didn't want you to make the beds, stuff like that.
She searched his trash can and she found paper with his name on it. We immediately notified the authorities and they caught up with him and arrested him.
The mystery of Melissa Mundy begins in 1985, in the small Maryland town of Hampton. We did a story about a teenage girl named Missy Mundy, and she kind of got romantically involved with a man named Jerry Strickland, about 5 or 6 years old, of kind of a shady character. And she ran away with him. And we wanted to tell this story to try to recover Missy Mundy because she was in harm's way. Missy was swept off her feet by Jerry. And so we put up pictures of Missy and Jerry. Within minutes of our broadcast, 20 viewers in this small rural community called the police to say they recognized Jerry Strickland and Missy Mundy. 7 hours later, the police arrested the fugitive couple at a friend's house. They discovered that Jerry and Missy had themselves watched the broadcast and were waiting for the police. I figured the time was about 7 hours and 15 minutes from Unsolved Mysteries aired, and he was in custody. When the police showed up, he said, you must be from Unsolved Mysteries. They've been watching Unsolved Mysteries and their own story and sat there and waited for the police to come up. And they put the cuffs on him and, about to push his head down so he could go in the police car. And he said, "That's my favorite show, Unsolved Mysteries."
Some of the arrests were really quite dramatic. There was one fugitive named Dennis Depew who was wanted for killing his wife, and he led police on a 15-mile high-speed chase. He broke through a couple of police barriers, he shot at the police, and then he turned the gun on himself.
You walk up to the man and you recognize him as being the person that was on Unsolved Mysteries. It's a funny feeling.
Sometimes I catch myself saying we solved these cases, but the truth is, as the producers of the show, we didn't solve these cases. It was the viewers and it was diligent law enforcement agencies that actually solved these cases. It's hard to believe, but over 600 of all the cases we ever produced have been solved, and 180 were wanted fugitives who were brought to justice.
One of the most satisfying kinds of stories to do for us was what we call lost love. If somebody was looking to find someone who had been really important in their life.
These were stories of families torn apart by adoption or maybe a war. Sometimes people who just wanted to say thank you to someone who had had an impact on their lives.
More often than not, we would solve those stories. And when we did, we would put together a reunion and be able to film the first time that those people saw each other in sometimes decades. And those were very emotional, very live and caught on tape, so to speak, really authentic. And the emotions were amazing. It wasn't emotional just for them, it was emotional for our crew, emotional for our viewers, emotional for our producers. The tears were flowing freely everywhere.
For mother and daughter, it was an emotional end to 26 years of painful separation.
I think one of the most emotional cases for me that was solved was one that we called a final appeal story.
July 9th, 1989, St. Louis, Missouri. Patty Stallings rushed her critically ill son to the hospital.
It was about a woman named Patty Stallings who was accused of poisoning her 5-month-old son with antifreeze. But there was strong evidence that she had not killed her baby. And as a mother myself, it was just devastating to me to think that this woman could spend the rest of her life in prison knowing that she had not killed her child.
On the night this story aired, calls from physicians familiar with MMA poured into our telecenter. Patty Stallings' new attorneys petitioned the court to grant her another trial based on the fact that she had previously received ineffectual counsel. On July 30th, 1991, Patty Stallings was granted a new trial and released from prison.
After the Unsolved Mysteries aired, people were writing and calling and just wondering how can we help. And I can't thank those people enough because, through all of that, the wheels started turning and everything just started pushing forward really fast.
Medical experts and prosecutors took another look, and it was determined that Patty's son had died from a rare genetic disease, and she was released from prison.
Unfortunately, we can't undo the suffering that the Stallings have endured.
I got all my meds together.
And I apologize to them.
I need to go get a drink.
We always kind of felt like Unsolved Mysteries went
I'll be right back.
Because a lot of people were affected by this show, a lot of people were helped by this show. And this show brought some amount of comfort to a lot of people. As long as the show has been on the air and as long as it's ever going to be on the air, we're going to continue to do updates. Stories get solved all the time that aired 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and we're still doing updates.
What's your behind the music? What's your unsolved mystery? What's your true Hollywood story?
Over the years, Unsolved Mysteries became a staple of television and also kind of a household name. That led to a lot of parodying of Unsolved Mysteries on other shows.
You're going to get started on Unsolved Mysteries.
It was really kind of an homage to the series and kind of an affectionate parody and kind of a compliment.
As the host of Unsolved Mysteries, I've come to appreciate all the hard work that goes into a dramatic recreation of a real-life event.
Saturday Night Live did a parody of the way we did the recreations on Unsolved Mystery shows. You know, you have to take your knocks. Like when you get famous, you got to take your knocks.
I think Unsolved Mysteries has remained popular all these years because of all the viewers around the world who this lives it touch. After the show ended, I would travel on other projects, sometimes wearing my Unsolved Mysteries jacket in airports, and I was always stopped by fans of the show who told me how much it meant to them.
It's been 5 weeks, and the entire country is demanding to know who committed this horrible crime.
Unsolved Mysteries viewers were the best. There are no other viewers on television like them. And I think it's because they felt they were actually part of the show. You could never be a part of Murder, She Wrote, but you could be a part of Unsolved Mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries is simply unlike anything I've ever worked. And I've been doing this for 50 years, so that counts for something.
I lost track of how many stories I did in Unsolved, but
I
what's
want
really
my
amazing is that
epitaph
every
to
story was
say,
unique,
"Be right
it was
back."
different. Having this
Right
experience is
back.
something I'll never forget. It was really astounding.
But most remarkable maybe is the fact that Unsolved Mysteries has never been off the air. And it went from network into cable, and it's still going in reruns.
It's one of those shows that feels like it's been on the air forever. It feels like it will always be on the air forever. It's kind of like I Love Lucy, except it's a little scary.
One thing I feel is that the show made a difference, and it feels so great to have been a part of it.
We are so proud of all that Unsolved Mysteries has accomplished, and we hope that more cases will continue to be solved. John and I would love to take credit for the success of this series, but I truly believe that it's the Unsolved Mysteries fans that deserve all the credit. We are overwhelmed by the love that they have shown for this series, and we can't thank them enough for their help in solving so many cases. They've proven what we always believed to be true, which is someone somewhere knows the truth.
Perhaps that's someone who's watching. Perhaps it's you.
It's time for a change. We're in your price range. Driving in a winter wonderland. I'll trade you your old slate. Get up the name. Drive for the new Hyundai with 0 down, 0 APR, 60 months, and 0 payments for 90 days.
If you're looking for a rewarding career in home care, if you want to make a difference, there's one choice: Health at Home. But don't take my word for it. Novartis voted Health at Home best in-state employer 3 years in a row. And Newsweek voted them America's greatest workplaces for job starters, women, and parents and families. You can work for any home care agency. Why not work with the one making real change? Join the Health at Home family and call today. If you're looking for home care, if you want to make a difference, one choice: Health at Home. But don't take my word for it. Lord, voted Health at Home best in-state employer 3 years in a row. And Newsweek voted them America's greatest workplaces for job starters, women, and parents and families. You can work for any home care agency. Why not work with real change? Join the Health at Home family and call today.
This program is about unsolved mysteries. Whenever possible, the actual family members and police officials have participated in recreating the events. What you're about to see is not a news broadcast.
Come on.
What do you guys know? It was a storybook romance which ended in a flash of violence. Now the man of an ex-dream is wanted for murder. In 1964, 18-year-old Delia Fazani of London, England, found herself trapped in a nightmare. As a pregnant, unwed teenager, abandoned by her boyfriend, she had no one to turn to. Delia's domineering father banished her to a convent outside London, later forced Delia to give her baby girl up for adoption. As a 7-year-old, Jeff Fisher became one of the thousands of young boys whose lives have been enriched by Big Brothers of America. Today, Jeff is searching for the man who gave him companionship and understanding. And 3 weeks ago, we profiled a young man suffering from a baffling case of amnesia. Our broadcast led to a dramatic reunion with his mother, at the same time placed him under a cloud of suspicion. Join me for this fascinating edition of Unsolved Mysteries. For most of his life turns on a series of small triumphs, small tragedies. The story you're about to
What
see
up, 5 viewers?
A girl who was forced to give up her baby against her will. The child was adopted by American
What you really
parents,
doing with your
27
life?
years old. Perhaps tonight, she'll
4
be able to
viewers.
understand the agony her birth mother went through. On a chilly spring evening in 1964, Delia Fazani sat in her favorite London pub waiting for her boyfriend. Even though Delia was only 18, her life was at a crossroads. She was 3 months pregnant and felt that her boyfriend was the only person she could turn to.
And I love you.
You look great.
What you love?
I'm not going to relax. There's something important I need to talk about. People I need to talk to, it's important.
I need to talk to you, it's important.
Bring something to say. I'm pregnant.
Sure.
It's been 3 months.
I gave you tissues.
I don't need any tip, they need it. I haven't told anyone. What do you mean?
Stepping on my head.
Jules, what do you think? I need you.
Don't need to do it. You said it's not here. Just say all my friends told me they've been with you. What I'm allowed to stand on.
That's it.
Yes.
I was devastated. I wanted to marry him. I loved him. But he just didn't want the responsibility of it. That was just the way they did things then. They just left the responsibility with the girl.
Damn.
After that, the first fear, obviously, was to tell my dad that I was pregnant. I mean, I thought, well, I'm either going to tell him and he's going to kill me on the spot, or I don't know what's going to happen.
Delia's father, an Italian immigrant, ran a highly successful restaurant in London. He was a strict Roman Catholic who ruled his business and his family with an iron hand.
He was sort of man, it was always on short fuse. Everybody was frightened of him. And I was absolutely petrified to tell him.
For 7 agonizing months, Delia hid her pregnancy with corsets and loose clothes. Finally, when she could hide it no longer, she begged a friend to break the news to her parents.
Calm down.
You are so common. You disgust me. Who was it?
I'm not going to tell you. You can do what you like, but I'm not going to tell you.
You've done the worst thing possible. You tell anyone, and you'll have nothing to say about this. I'll take care of this problem.
We could raise it like it was our own son or daughter, just like it was one of our own.
I'd rather jump off a bridge than take care of this baby. I don't even want to smell it.
I don't even want to smell it.
Nothing really after that day was discussed with me, but obviously my dad was discussing it with my mum as regards to what to do with me. And then I think it was only a matter of about maybe a week, couple of weeks, and he just came home and announced that I was going to this place, wherever it was.
We would tell our friends that you were going up north to the country for a few months to spend some spiritual. Say goodbye to her.
I wanted to keep my baby. You know, even though he was sending me off to this wherever, I thought, well, maybe once I had the baby, he's gonna feel different.
Delia's father banished her to the Loretto Convent, 30 miles north of London. The convent served as a home for unwed mothers and facilitated adoptions as well.
When we drove back to the convent, I just felt that I couldn't believe that he just put me there.
We've been expecting you, Delia. We're glad to have you.
You know, you couldn't have taken your dog to the pound because you don't want to leave him there. And yet he just easily just took me there and left me. And that was my father. In my eyes, it was like a prison, really. You were there for a certain time, and you couldn't go home until that time had been completed.
All expectant mothers were assigned chores. Those closest to term were given the most strenuous work because the nuns believed it helped the girls deliver on time.
You break them into a pile, girls, put them aside.
I suppose they see it as they're doing the job. And you're there for a certain purpose. That is to have your baby, and then goodbye, and then the next one comes in.
On November 2nd, 1964, Delia gave birth to a daughter named her Michelle. Delia was allowed to see the baby only 4 times a day, then for only half an hour.
They didn't like you to see a baby other than the feeding times and the changing times, because the more you saw the baby, the more you held it, you were more likely to bond to the baby. So when it came for adoption, you could just hand it over, so they thought, as though nothing had happened. If you do make that bond, even though you're only seeing them for certain times, you've still given birth to her. So the bond is there automatically.
When Michelle was 4 weeks old, Delia's parents visited the convent. It was the moment Delia had been waiting.
I was just hoping that my father was going to say, well, you know, okay, you know, you come back home and you bring a baby up, and that's fine. That's what I wanted. I know my dad was yearning to take a peek, but didn't want anyone to see him doing it. And I thought, well, at least he's looking. I watched thinking that the next move was going to be he's going to pick her up. I knew as soon as he walked away from the pram that was it. There's no way that I'm going to change his mind. Have a seat, dear. It's been 6 weeks since Michelle was born.
Yes, sister. We found a couple for her. I can't tell you anything about them except that they have your coloring. And they're American. He's in the Air Force, a pilot stationed at Northampton. You'll need to sign some papers for Michelle to be taken out of the country. That won't be a problem, will it?
No, sister. This is our wedding room. You can sit here.
2 weeks later, at the Westminster offices of the Catholic Children's Society, Delia was allowed a final visit with Michelle.
A nice long time to say your goodbyes. Such a beautiful baby. You've been very brave, Delia.
When Delia was alone, she slipped a note into Michelle's blanket. The note begged the adopted parents to tell Michelle that Delia had loved her and had given her up unwillingly.
You've only got 30 minutes or whatever it is to say goodbye. So what you try to do is try to look at her face, to burn the impression into your mind. Because you there and then you get that feeling that I'm going to forget the face, and that's the last thing you want. So you feel the shawl, and maybe because it's warm, but you're feeling her body, because that was the last time you're going to see her. I'm sorry, Delia. It's time. She came over and she took her. And she took her out of the room and locked the door behind her. And that was it. That was the last time I saw her. I can't explain. One minute I had a baby, next minute it was gone.
Delia and her parents never spoke of the adoption again. Delia eventually married twice, but had no other children. In 1977, her father died, and she began to search for Michelle. But Delia's mother, Rosalinda, honored her late husband's wish that the details of the adoption would be kept secret. Then in 1991, Rosalinda was hospitalized with a terminal illness. A family friend, Sonia Filkins, urged Rosalinda to tell Delia everything she knew about Michelle and the adoption.
the people who want this. The name of the people he wants is Waters. I never forget his name. Try to find him. I'll find him off. Let me see that picture. Come see me. Just in days. I'll tell you. It's one granddaughter.
2 weeks later, Rosalinda Fasani died, having at last given Delia the precious gift of Michelle's adopted name.
I can honestly say that not one day has passed, not one solitary day where I haven't thought about her or thought what she might be doing. She's there all the time. You just can't rest. You can't leave it alone. I've got to find her.
2 photographs were all that Delia had to remember Michelle, and she never stopped trying to locate her. Finally, after 15 years of frustrated research, Delia's efforts began to pay off.
Last July, Delia learned that her daughter had been renamed Laura. An adoptions official agreed to send a letter to Laura that Delia had written. In a brief note, Delia said that she would soon appear in Unsolved Mysteries and asked her daughter to do the broadcast.
1964. Delia Fasani in New York, New York.
Oh, shit.
Delia's daughter Laura Frank experienced firsthand heartbreaking events leading up to her adoption.
So that was just the way they did things.
When I found out my grandfather was searching for me, that was pretty touching to know that she had looked that far to try to find me.
After the broadcast, Laura contacted our telephone and asked to be put in touch with her birth mother. Against nearly impossible odds, Delia had at last found her daughter, a continent away, amidst the population of millions. On September 19th, 1992, Laura, her husband, their 2 children, and Laura's closest friend assembled a Syracuse International Airport. The separation of birth mother and daughter that had lasted more than a quarter of a century out to end.
It was a lot of questioning, a lot of what's she gonna think when she sees me, and what is she going through right now? She was everything and more than I expected. Absolutely everything.
What up, 5 viewers?
She's a beautiful girl.
No one's talking to me.
Before Laura's adopted mother died in 1989, she had shared all she knew of Laura's background. Delia and Laura could now fill in the remaining gaps, nearly 30 years of family history.
Finding my birth mother now, I don't think it's really changed my life as much as it has probably enhanced it, because now I can find out some about my past and my history and things that I never thought that I would ever find out about.
I can't replace her mother, but I'd like to think that I think they're pretty close.
The September reunion is only a beginning. At Christmas, Laura and her family plan to travel to England, where they will spend time with Delia and the many relatives, looking forward to meeting them for the first time. Next, a baffling case of amnesia is solved thanks to our viewers.
Hey, stuck at a meeting and forgot to send the Minute Maid Zero Sugar Mango Passion Fruit spread, but the drink's so good, it sells itself. Just have the announcer say something about great taste and zero sugar, and we'll be ducking golden. Send, wait, duck. No, get it said. Great taste, zero sugar. Sells itself. At Minute Maid Zero Sugar, we're all about amazing taste with zero sugar. You can't taste an ad, or we would have spent more time on this one, and it would taste like strawberry lemonade. But it doesn't. The drink does. Great taste, zero sugar. Sells itself. We did it. We made a drink with amazing taste and zero sugar. And when you do that, you don't need a good ad. So for commercials, we made this. Zero sugar, great taste. Yep, you're looking at it. Great taste, zero sugar. Sells itself. It's time for a change.
I've been live almost 2 hours.
Zero APR for 60 months and zero payments for 90 days.
My phone's dying. I gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go put my phone on charge. Alright, y'all.
I'm gonna tell you right now, this is from her father. Your bunch of lying no good punks, and I know who it's coming from, because I've back traced it, and you've been reported to cyber police, because I've back traced it. Consequences will never be the same, because I've back traced it, and you've been reported to cyber police, because I've back traced it. You'll be arrested. End of conversation. Well, guess what? My daughter's not lying, and I'm not gonna put up with any of you people's crap. If you ain't got something nice to say about my daughter, then keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. And any more of your comments and put it on there will be caught and will be bound. You will have to deal with the police, cause you done goofed. Cause you done goofed. Because I back traced it, and you've been reported to the cyber police, because I back traced it. Consequences will never be the same, because I back traced it, and you've been reported to the cyber police, because I back traced it.